Well, hi everyone. My name's Tom, and this is Joy behind me. Joy is a 2022 Embassy Dolphin SS motorhome built by Embassy Specialty Vehicles in Elkhart, Indiana. And I am embarking on my maiden voyage as a full-time nomad in a Class B RV. And since you found my YouTube channel, which is called Joy en Route, I thought that you might like to know a little bit about the guy behind the camera. So let's do that. Like I say, my name is Tom, and I've lived in Middleton, Wisconsin since 1989. I've felt rather planted there, and over however many episodes, I'm sure I'll get into all of the ins and outs of how it came to pass that I made the decision to go out as a full-time nomad. But back in Middleton, I own a duplex, a side-by-side mirror image duplex, in which I have a rental unit and I have my own home. At this time, my kid, whose name is Lennox, identifies as gender non-binary, and so I will refer to them by preferred pronouns, they, them. They are presently living there at my duplex, and that affords me some stability in terms of having an address and some other things that, again, we'll probably talk about going forward in future episodes as we explore more and more this idea of being a full-time nomad. I'm a career-long IT guy. I got my start in the U.S. Air Force, and I retired in 2021. So I was a part of the Great Resignation, although for me it was more like the Great Retirement. And so how that came about is another episode that I'm sure we'll get into. Y2K was a turning point in my career. Again, career-long IT guy. Y2K had special significance to those in my field. But the carnage of Y2K didn't really catch up to me until about 2005, at which time I found myself out looking for work in a non-existent market for IT. By that point, following Y2K and the dot-com bomb, if you recall that, IT hiring had hit pretty much rock bottom as many IT shops started doing the whole outsourcing thing. And I'm sure that I'll delve into more of the particulars later in other episodes. There's a lot of content coming, I guess, is what I'm alluding to here. But it put me in a position where it was really difficult to navigate the whole situation. So much so that even though I had gone out and gotten one of the highest certifications that Microsoft offers, employers just kind of yawned and just didn't want to go there. It was very frustrating. And it made me look to the passions of my younger years. This was all going down when I was in my mid to late 40s, mid upper 40s. And so I look back at what my passions were when I was a much younger man. And music and radio stood out as kind of those things that were really, really important to me. I've been into stereo systems, and I have a pretty good vinyl album collection, and I'd made the conversion over to CDs when that happened, and I've got quite a music library. When I put it all together and pulling from my IT career background, I thought, internet radio. And so I launched an internet radio station. As a matter of fact, before it all came to an end, I had 2 internet radio stations broadcasting 24/7 worldwide. But even there, the revenue model was strained. And things were becoming a little scary. At that same time, my dear mother was writing the final chapters of her life. And so I was very involved in helping her through that maze. She had a number of medical issues and was on quite a cocktail of pharmaceuticals, because I guess that's really where the medical community takes us these days. We treat symptoms, not underlying conditions, I guess. It was difficult to watch her fade. But I guess the situation that I was in sort of helped me to be there for her, and yet it was pretty scary for me. At the point when I was beginning to realize that internet radio was going to fail me as well, I came to the conclusion that there was a good possibility that I would have to go ahead and sell my duplex and try to cash out anything that I possibly could. By that point, it had become mortgaged right up to my eyeballs. So I wouldn't have gotten much out of it, but at least I would have still had my vehicle, and maybe I could just hop in that and head for warmer climates, and maybe I'd be okay. Wasn't really sure. But as luck would have it, I did manage to reemploy after my mother had passed. And I got a position in an IT shop within the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I worked there for 5 years, which was long enough to become vested, and then I could retire. It's not that I was looking to retire immediately upon vesting. It's just that the way it timed out just happened to work out that way. I knew that I couldn't leave until I vested, but it was just kind of interesting that the timing worked out such that at about the time we were ready to go back onto campus after doing the work from home thing for so long, I realized that something else had happened that really surprised me, and that was that my stock portfolio had blossomed rather incredibly. And it was then that I realized that, hey, you actually could retire instead of going back and doing some horrible hybrid work thing that they were suggesting. So that's what I did. In the months leading up to that, though, YouTube was recommending that I watch some videos from people who were doing RV reviews. I don't know if you've heard of Matt's RV reviews. Matt, if you happen to be watching out there, and I know you've got a channel that's very strong. Hey, YouTube suggested that I start watching Matt's RV reviews, and I watched a couple of them, and he would talk about Class A RVs and the big motorhome type RVs, right? A Class A is kind of a tour bus type RV with side things that come out and to extend the living space within and that kind of thing. Full luxurious bathrooms and everything, walk-in closets, and I'd look at those and I'd think, yeah, that would be lovely, but it's really not for me. I don't know, maybe sensing that, YouTube started throwing a few other channels at me, one of which was Scott Watson's Go Small, Live Large, which is all about the Class B camper van lifestyle. And Scott is out full-time running around in I think it's a 2019 Winnebago Travato. It could be 2018. I think it's 2019 though. And he gave a tour of his Class B RV. And I watched that video and I thought, ooh, well, two things. I mean, number one, I thought, ooh, it's small. It's not a tour bus, right? And so it's eminently drivable. You can fit it into relatively normal parking spaces. Maybe you might need a couple, but it's not like a tour bus, and it's not like you have to have, or it's not something that you're like towing behind you. And so it seemed like it was a much more doable kind of way to do RVing. But at the same time, I came to the awkward realization that whereas a few years earlier, I had thought that being forced to hop in my vehicle and drive off somewhere to find warmer climates would really have been the bottom of the bottom, right? That's when you hit rock bottom, is when you find yourself forced into a vehicle. And then I realized that, oh my God, people do this as a choice. They make this choice to do this nomadic lifestyle. And the more I watched and learned about it, the more I could see myself doing exactly that. I loved to travel when I was in the Air Force. I didn't go abroad. I just stayed here in the continental United States throughout my 6-year enlistment. But I really enjoyed relocating as frequently as I did. I went through two different technical schools and had 2 different duty stations, and it was fun, going through all that. Probably should have just stuck with it and gone for the full 20. I kind of kicked myself at the point when it would have been 20 years, and I looked back and thought, wow, that would have been a walk in the park. What was I thinking leaving? But that goes back to what I was saying before about feeling rather planted in Wisconsin, right? I bought a duplex in 1989, and I had been in it almost ever since. A few years while married in a different house, but when the divorce went down, I took the duplex, and she took the house that we had, and that was kind of how we were able to do the 50-50 split. And so, yeah, it was quite an eye-opener to realize that it could be a choice. And so I continued to explore that. And Scott of Go Small, Live Large was at that time hooking up with Embassy RV, Embassy Specialty Vehicles out of Elkhart, Indiana, their RV division, building beautiful Class B camper vans like the one you see behind me. And so I went down to Elkhart to take a look at the build process and to talk to the people who were there and who were architecting these lovely Class B camper vans, and learned all about the special way that they build them. And I'm sure that we'll talk about this in future episodes. I'll take you through, actually I already have a video on the channel about Joy and everything inside Joy, so you might want to take a look at that, but I'm sure that going forward we'll talk even more about that. But on the 11th of November 2022, I hopped in Joy and took off. I fled Wisconsin, trying to get away from the cold weather. It was quite a run, and I didn't get out ahead of it fast enough. But now I'm here at Falcon State Park in Texas, and as you can see, it's evening. The sun is setting. And I had to wait for the sun to go down so I could get more even lighting to even pull off this video. But I'm in shorts and a short sleeve shirt outside, and it's beautiful and wonderful. Meanwhile, back in Wisconsin, actually they're not doing too bad, but you know, they've been hit by the polar vortex once, and they probably will be hit a couple times before the winter is out. I'm going to try and stay in warmer climates. So that's, I guess, as far as I need to take it today. That gives you a little bit of a background about me, who I am, and what I'm doing. And now it's going to be a matter of figuring out a lot of things. I think for the moment, I really feel like I thought that, you know, just as soon as I hit the road, I would immediately start creating content and posting it to YouTube, and it would just be, you know, just such a simple thing. It's really not, okay? It really is not. I'm having to really think about it, and it's coinciding with all of the other things that I'm doing, trying to just figure out how to be a full-time nomad in this Class B RV. So it's going to take a while, I think, for me to fully hit a stride. But from the audience, as it builds, I'm hoping that you will feed me with ideas of how to give you the kind of content that you might be interested in. I know there are a lot of choices out there. There are so many hashtag van life channels, and each one probably brings something different to the table. The question that I would have of you as we, you know, go forward is, what does it feel like is working for you as you watch my videos? What would you like to see? And just as I'm trying to figure out how to be a full-time nomad, I will also figure out how to create content worthy of your attention. And I look forward to doing that. And I thank you for watching this video, which is really just a little bit more about me than about the nomadic lifestyle, but it gives you at least a little bit of a background about who's this guy behind the camera. In coming episodes, I will talk about the gear that I'm using to record, and the things that I still need to learn and do in order to make that work better. I think I've got good equipment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm using it as proficiently as I could. So there's a lot, again, so much to be learned. So thank you for watching this. And of course, as everybody always asks, please give it a like and subscribe if it seems like it might go somewhere fun for you and you'd like to follow along. And I really, truly appreciate having you along for these videos. And I'll see you in the next one.